When two stars reunite after a long separation on Earth, our king will return to light the path to be taken so that we will not stray from the path from the circle of all things. I think I said that right.
Look around you, look beyond. You could make an unbreakable bond. The world around you's not what it seems. It's all revealed beyond your wildest dreams. So many things I never could see. So many choices falling on me. Could it be my destiny to be Shaman? Shaman King. To be Shaman. Shaman King. If your spirit is strong, you could be the one. I can look at the world in a different light. I know what it takes to make it right, and I won't give up the fight to be Shaman. Shaman King.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everything Anime Podcast. I'm one of your host, Shinry, here at the Everything Anime Podcast, talking from anime, manga, video games, TV shows, and a relevant topic I talk about. Today's video is on Shaman King Volume 4. Yes, if you guys have been following around my Shaman King videos, we've been talking about the Shaman King manga for the first time ever. I have finished the Shaman King anime a long time ago, but as I said in my previous videos, the Shaman King anime kind of goes off on its own tangent, just like Fullmetal Alchemist does. Fullmetal Alchemist at one point, while it's being written, went on a long hiatus, so that's why we have Fullmetal Alchemist that follows its own branch at some point, and then Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood that follows the manga all the way through. Shaman King had the same thing, where the manga followed the story for anime followed the manga for a long time, but then it branches off because the manga got like too bloody, too gory apparently, and for kids, because they were doing the Shaman King anime, they were just like, hey, we ain't doing all that. Just like in Yu-Gi-Oh, they had guns, but they replaced them with cards, like throwing cards as the main character's weapons. It was ridiculous. Or the Shadow Realm represented death and basically hell or purgatory, but they made it like this like place where like the graveyard monsters go or whatever. You just disappear or something like that. And One Piece, there used to be blood, but they replaced it like with like no blood, or like Sanji's cigarette became a lollipop. Which the One Piece rap is still fire, okay? That's the one thing we're gonna get for kids. And the Shaman King song is fire. But anyways, yeah, so I recently found out also that Soul Eater, its anime, followed the story for a little bit, but then Soul Eater went on a long hiatus, so Soul Eater also has its own non-manga ending. So eventually we're going to get this Soul Eater. Not sure when. I'm kind of dipping my hands in a little bit of everything. I'm watching Rurouni Kenshin, but I'm also watching Pokemon. So we're going to get to all these videos and manga eventually at some point, because I want to know how they end. I want to know more about them. But anyways, right now we're going to talk about Shaman King. This has already been a long intro, so let's go ahead and hop into this manga. When the story opens up, we're introduced to Goldva. I think that was the name of the character. He's the leader of the Pat's tribe, who are the organizers, are basically like, like the proctors of the Shaman King tournament. I think there's like 10 of them, or 9. I've confirmed the amount later. But basically, they don't participate in the Shaman King tournament. They don't care if you're good. They don't care if you're evil. They don't care what your ambition is. Their only job is to make sure you enter the tournament, you get your Oracle Bell, and, if you win, you win. You follow the rules. That's all they're there for. We also meet Silva, who is a vital character from what I remember in Yo's story, and a family member, I believe. Spoiler warning, I think his name is Silva Asakura later in the story. I believe that could have been an anime-only change, because, again, I have not read the manga in a long time, and I know at some point it branches off. But, if memory serves right, he's Asakura, but he is a pivotal character because we will interact with him a lot. He is also Yo's proctor. He's also... the main thing about him, though, is he also inspired a main character of the Shinry series, Rai Makai, with his abilities. I'll go into more detail about that later because I don't want to spoil Silva's abilities this early. But Silva inspired Rai Makai's manifestation ability, Byoku manifestation. But again, I'll explain that later when we get there. Speaking of Yo, we flip back over to him, Anna and Morty, who are in class, where Anna is currently torturing him, making him sit on an invisible chair, like you did in track class or football when you got in trouble and you had to sit in an invisible chair and squat for a long period of time. Yeah, she's got Yo doing that to strengthen his knees and strengthen his body. Because again, even though Yo is a shaman, the physical toll it takes on his body, you know, he has to fight the monsters. That's when he integrates and uses integration. But still, even then, Yo, even though now he he ain't learned that yet. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself. But Yo has to get his physical body training up, basically. Anyways, Morty has come to tell Anna and Yo about the celestial comet he saw that has never been seen in all of history, but Yo and Anna aren't surprised. They already know what this comet means. The comet means the start of the Shaman King tournament. The Shaman King tournament's about to begin. The comet only comes once every 500 years, so it's not a surprise that, you know, Morty doesn't know about it, or maybe most people don't know about it, because if something only happens once every 500 years, they just might think it was like a phenomenon or something like that. They wouldn't know that, like, normal humans would know, like, hey, something big's about to happen, you know. Hilariously, as Anna has always tripled Yo's training from normal, we know this because deep down she believes in Yo. Like, so even though Morty sees, like, you know, Yo's being tortured by Anna, we know that, like, deep down Anna cares about Yo. We've heard this multiple times throughout the story. And she said it and she's shown it. And she believes in Yo and she wants to be with him. Like, I think at one point she even said, like, even if Yo doesn't become the Shaman King, like, she still love him, but she obviously wants to become the Shaman King. She wants to become the queen of the Shaman King or whatever. But obviously, I already talked about this. But Yo, who has never been in the Shaman King tournament because it only takes place once every 500 years, he only knows it's happening in Tokyo, Japan. He doesn't know, like, the rules, he doesn't know the time that it's going to start. He doesn't even know the date that it's going to be. So he's just like, you know, I don't know what the Shaman King tournament is. I've heard about it. I've trained for it. You know, I'm ready for it. I want to participate and become a Shaman King so I can live an easy life. But I don't even know how this thing starts. I don't know, like, who my opponent's going to be. Is it just a free-for-all? Yo is just as clueless as we are. We're learning the same time as Yo. That's always a great thing when, like, you're in the perspective of the main character. You're, like, trying to learn with them. So I think that's pretty cool. But he doesn't have to wait long as a man appears telling him pretty much to follow his heart and it will guide him to the answer. This character is later revealed to be Silva, disguised as what do you call those people? A vendor, I guess. But even though it's played as a gag here in the anime, and I think later in the manga, it is what they do. Because, you know, as Yo's grandfather told him, like, you know, shamans don't make a lot of money. You know, we have to do odd jobs or, like, tell people's fortunes to, like, make a living these days. Because people don't need shamans like they did in the past. They don't come to us anymore. You know, they look on the internet. They ask Google for help. They ask Siri for help these days. So I found that pretty funny. Yeah, and as I remember, the Patch Tribe, they don't get paid for the Shaman King tournament. They don't get paid to be proctors. Like, they're doing this because it's going to determine the fate of the world. It's going to determine who the Shaman King is. So, like, yeah, this is all free. They don't get paid for this. Morty makes Yo walk away, but before he does, Yo senses something, and it makes Silva smirk, because obviously Yo can see spirits, so he knows, like, this guy might have shaman abilities or might have, like, spirits of some sort, but he can't tell exactly what it is. And then we start to see Silva's powers. He can manifest spirits from the items that he wears on his body, like his rings, his necklace, all kinds of things that are like that look like normal trinkets to ordinary people, like a ring. I think he has like a necklace of a snake's tooth. Again, I'm gonna get into it later when I explain more Silva's powers. But you start getting a tease because his eagle shows up on out of the feather on his hat, on his like hat or hair or his bandana, and it's like, hey, I think that kid sensed something in us, and he's like, he might have potential. Oh, I do talk about it here. So, okay. So, if you haven't read Show vs. Shimmy the Sword of Light, or if you have read Show vs. Shimmy the Sword of Light, you met Rai Makai. His ability is called Manifestation. Rai can create wings for flight using his Byoku, a turtle shell for a shield. You know, basically, his power is to manifest, like, things as physical objects for him to use, like a Zord, a Byoku to cut down people with. It's not as specific as Silva's. Like, Silva's is specific. He needs the item of the animal that he's going to use, and again, it'll be explained later. But it still inspired Rai's ability manifestation, because Rai can make things with his Byoku. Again, wings for flight, you know, stuff like that. So I thought I was really creative when I started writing Show vs. Shimmy the Sword of Light. And I was reading Shaman King at the same time. I was like, that's really cool power. I want to create something like that. Because in writing, everything's already been done before. You're just kind of reinventing the wheel, putting your own spin on it. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, once again, Yo is laying back on the grass with no cares in the world or worries. Currently, about the Shaman King tournament, like Amidamaru is like stressing out. He's like, "Hey, Yo, like I don't know if I'm gonna be strong enough to like help you in this tournament. Like, there might be stronger spirits out there. I'm a human spirit. I can only get so strong." And Yo's like, "Amidamaru, don't worry about that. I'm not worried about it. You're the greatest partner I could ever have." Again, because Yo sees Amidamaru as his best friend. So Yo's always been laid back and carefree. So, Yo ain't tripping about it. He's like, "It's strong enough for me. So that's all that matters." And he says, even though Amidamaru says he doesn't think he can get stronger, Yo tells him he's not worried about a future that hasn't happened yet, which is ironic to something that Govba says to Silver later in the chapter, like he's not worried about the future. It's better to live in the present and now, and that also kind of reminds me of my friend Mark. Mark is my best friend. He's the first reader of Show We Samurai Project Aryoku. Again, check out the link below. But yeah, Mark always tells me like, "Oh, don't worry about the future. We don't know about the future. Just live in the present." So I kind of like that Mark and Yo kind of share that as well. Like I know somebody that like talks about living in the present. Don't worry about the future because you can't control the future. Even Amidamaru is awed by Yo's notion, and instead of worrying about the tournament, and if there's a stronger opponent out there, like when he faced Ren for the first time, like when Ren and Yo first fought, Ren was stronger than Yo, but Yo and Amidamaru, they believed in each other, and they succeeded him in that fight. So Yo's like, we'll overcome everything together. We'll face it together like we always have, which kind of changes Amidamaru's thought. And I really do like that because you can see the friendship between these guys. Somebody 500 years old, it doesn't matter how old they are, their friendship transcends time. Anyways, oh yeah, because also the reason why Amidamaru is worried is because he took massive damage in the fight with Ren, and he took massive damage against the fight against Tao Jun. So Amidamaru is like really stressed out that like he can't protect Yo, but Yo's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it when the time comes. We'll face whatever enemy comes, and we'll get stronger in that moment. We'll become stronger than we were yesterday in that exact time." But that's when Silver returns, this time not as a street vendor, but as a proctor of the tournament, specifically for Yo's entrance exam. Silver just appears with a suitcase. He's like, "Hey, how you doing, Yo? You ready for the tournament?" And Yo's like, "Hey, you can see Amidamaru." I think he's specifically us, talking about like Yo and Amidamaru, and that's when Yo realizes he can see spirits. We also then get a look at all 5 of the 5 spirits that Silver possesses, and each one of them provide a different use for him in combat. They're specifically called his familiars, his totems, luminous spirits who's been dead and have used their fighting spirits, or been fighting spirits for them for like millenniums. So they're like ancient animal spirits. They're called familiars, and they've lived for like millenniums, but like they can fight for Silva. And I believe it's like a snake, a coyote, a boar, a eagle. A snake, a boar, an eagle, a boar, a snake, a coyote, a boar, an eagle, and something else. Well, we'll get to it. I know I go over all the powers and stuff like that. So now he goes on to tell Yo that if he wants to enter the Shaman King tournament, he must defeat him in combat. Because not just anyone can enter the Shaman King tournament just because they're a shaman. If you want to enter the Shaman King tournament, you have to pass one test that the proctors give to you. And the test that they give you is basically like, hit me one time with your shamanic ability. No, with your mana. Hit me one time with your mana. And again, where this ends, well, not where it ends, but like the result of this is really cool. But even Yo was like, "Oh, just one hit, I can do that. That's no problem. I can hit you one time." So, and I know what you're thinking, this should be easy for Yo. Like one slash from Amida style, Amida Giri or something like that. Amida style Giri slash should do it. That'd be an easy win, simple. Like Yo's like, "I ain't gotta come near you. I can just slash you with the Amidamaru's special attack, an air cutting slash, and the fight will be over. I won." Now again, because Yo has never been in the Shaman King tournament and he doesn't know the rules, he can't tell if this guy's telling the truth or if this guy's just pulling his spirit leg. Like, he's like, "Hey, like, maybe you're not even a proctor. Maybe you don't have nothing to do with the Shaman King tournament. You were a vendor, or you pretend to be a vendor, and now you're saying, like, you're with the Shaman King tournament. And I don't even know what the Shaman King tournament is or how it takes place. So you could just be lying to me." But Silva tells him that all proctors of the Patch tribe are in tune with the Great Spirit at all times. He sees all and knows all, and that's how he knows not only Yo's name, but knows that he's been wanting to enter the Shaman King tournament for a while. He knows that Yo wants to live an easy life. Like, you want to become the Shaman King. You want to become the Shaman King. so that you can live a little bit easy life. Like, the Great Spirit, again, is God, basically. Like, they're like, we're in connection with him at all time. He tells us things. He tells us where to go, what to do. And he told me that you want to enter the Shaman King tournament, so I'm here to test you. Plus, if Yo succeeds landing a hit on him and passing the entrance exam, he'll be given a communicator, which is basically the Oracle Bell that you'll see. I don't think it's on here. Yeah, it is. It's Oracle Bell. You can see it right there. He gives Yo the Oracle Bell. And again, we're going to show that panel at some point. But it'll also prove that he's beaten the Proctor, and two of him, and one, it'll show that he's beaten the Proctor, and two, it'll give him coordinates of his following fights and the name of the person he'll be fighting. So, like, you won't have to guess who your opponent is. You won't have to guess where to go for the next fight or the whatever fight. Like, the Oracle Bell will tell you where you're supposed to go and who you're supposed to fight. But there is a second rule. Yo only has 10 minutes to land a single hit. So, one, Yo has to land a single hit on him. And then two, Yo has 10 minutes to do it. If Yo cannot land a single hit on Silva in 10 minutes, then he fails and he doesn't get to enter the Shaman King tournament. And it's now a now or never decision. Hesitation will not be accepted. If Yo wastes his 10 minutes debating, if Yo can't do it in 10 minutes, you know, you lose, bro. The time clock has already started. You know, Silva's like, I got other proxies out there. I got other shamans out there to test. You're just one of many, you know, because there's a lot of shamans out there, and everybody wants to become the Shaman King for their own reasons, as we know from, like, Ryu wanting to find his happy place. Who is the other person we met so far? Ren, you know, he wants to, like, just be powerful, and, you know, Ren wanted specifically to, like, make humans, like, basically docile to, like, shamans, like, basically make a world for, like, shamans and humans that are lesser than them. But those are the three that we know so far. But there's a fourth one we'll meet in this chapter, my favorite character, actually. Well, in Shaman King. And so Yo finally chooses to believe in Silva, and heck, even if he was lying, if a single hit is all Yo needs to do to, like, enter the Shaman King tournament, he's like, that's not impossible to do. Like, I can do that. Even if you're lying to me, even if you're not a part of the Shaman King tournament, just landing one single hit, okay, Amida style, Guru slash, like, you know, I get that one hit, you know, I won. I do, however, love seeing the confidence in this battle from Yo again, because again, Shinry Makai was modeled after Yo's laid-back personality, where Shinry also gets excited in battle. Again, if you read Shinry the Sword of Light, you know, all the way through Arado Legendary Dream Master, or even like Shinry's beginning, you know, the rise of the Namakanui, that is how Shinry is as well. Shinry was modeled after Yo's laid-back personality, but he gets serious in fights. So those are two characters I based it off. So yeah, it's kind of ironic. Yo's grandfather is Rai Makai's model. Oh no, that's Silva. I guess Rai Makai had both Rai's grandfathers, like, serious sense of training, but then, like, Silva's ability, whereas, like, you know, Shinry was just modeled after Yo's, like, laid back personality. And then Yo chooses to start with the move that we've been talking about, the Shockwave Budagiri, Amidamaru's ultimate technique, and because he's using it so early, you could predict that it was going to fail. Like, because Yo starts out with it, and the Shaman King exam just started, he's got 10 minutes left, I mean, like 9 minutes and some seconds left, you can tell, like, okay, this is not going to work, this is way too early in the fight. And in fact, it looks like the attack didn't even reach Silva, though, as he had a silver shield in front of him protecting him from unseeing eyes. So Silva lifts up his hand, and it looks like the attack just got blocked by, like, an invisible shield or something like that. Yo and Amidamaru first believe that this is an invisible wall that he's created, because they try even using a full frontal assault, like charging at them straight up, and they can't hit him. They encounter the same problem, this invisible wall. When Yo goes to strike him, once again, that invisible shield is blocking his blade from reaching him. He's like, what's going on here? Like, are you protected by a shield? Are you cheating? Like, what's going on? But that's when Silva gives him his first tip. He's like, basically, I want you to show me your shaman power. I'm not here to test your Amidamaru. I'm not here to test your spirit's power. I'm here to test your power. You can't defeat me with integration alone. You need something else. Because it is then in fact revealed that the familiar spirit of the turtle, nicknamed Silver Shield, which all of them have a nickname, it's blocking Yo's attack from, like, this ring on his from the ring on his finger. So yeah. The ring, it's like a turtle ring or something like that, or shaped like a turtle. The turtle spirit is coming out of Silva's ring and is creating a shield around his hand, and that's what he's using to block Yo's attack. Then the familiar spirit of the buffalo, it's a buffalo, not a ram. The buffalo spirit comes out of the buffalo spirit known as the silver horn comes out of his leg, which uses the charge rush attacks at Yo. So yeah, so again, getting a little ahead of myself. The turtle silver shield is used like basically as a shield, and then the boar is silver horn. It's used like, as especially of a boar. It's a buffalo. It like runs at you and charges. He basically uses that to like rush Yo and like hit him like with his knee as if he got hit by a buffalo. And this power starts to overwhelm Yo and me tomorrow. Even Silva laughs at himself thinking that he's overdone it. Like he like hits Yo so hard with the silver horn, like leg rush, that Yo gets sent flying in the air, and that's what we get to see the second more of the familiar spirits abilities. The Coyote familiar gives Silva speed called I think it's called something edge. And silver tail. So when he runs, it's called silver tail, and he uses the coyote speed to run. And then the snake familiar, which he nicknamed silver rod, he uses as a lasso to catch his opponent, reel them in, and throw them back. So far we've seen, I think we have all the spirits now. We have silver shell, which is the turtle that uses to protect himself. Silver horn, which is the buffalo, which uses to like run at his opponents, like rush attack them. Silver tail, which is the coyote that gives him speed. Silver rod, which is a snake, which he uses to like whip his opponents and grab them out of midair. And then silver wing, which is going to be the bird that he uses like, used to catch flight in the air and stuff like that, which we're about to see in a second. Yo is confused by all these abilities, although he knows a spirit can touch a shaman, as we learned with the white spirit goes to the painter. Remember that spirit that was like white. That painter spirit that died because of white spirit. We know that like spirits can touch shamans and cause them damage. But it's still surprising him because they allow a human to do things that like other abilities that without integration. Like these spy spirits aren't integrated with Silva, because we know Yo can't have two spirits in one body. No shaman. This ain't like One Piece with Blackbeard where you can have two devil fruits. A shaman can only handle one spirit at a time. That's why whenever Yo was fighting Tokagero, he had to exercise Amidamara from his body to let Tokagero take over him. So he's like, how is Silva using all these abilities, and he has 5 different spirits and stuff like that. That's when Silva gives him his second clue, while he's literally levitating in midair, saying it comes from his shamanic mana. So this is the second clue Yo gets. The first clue was he was saying like, you can't use integration, it's not going to work. You got to try something else. And I was saying like you have to use your shamanic mana for the first time. And this is the first time Yo's hearing about mana for the first time. He goes on to say that using his shamanic mana solidifies his spirits into beings and allow him to do these things, which is why he's flying in the air, because the feather from his head, silver wing, is giving him flight. And thus he's flying with the power of his bird. Oh, I've already talked about this. Yes, I talked about that too. I already talked about this. I'm going through my notes, but sometimes I'll be ahead of my notes, so I just be talking to you guys sometimes. It also acts as Silva's not only Zord shield, but he can also use its familiars like armors, which again we've already talked about, like the turtle shell to block and stuff like that. Like just like Rai's abilities, which is Byaku manifestation that allows him, like I said, he creates all these things to like allow him to do things like Byaku wings to fly, Byaku Zord to cut his enemies like down like that. I didn't limit Rai's abilities to like familiars or like like having a certain object. That would have made more sense, but I do like how Rai still came out. Like I still think Rai is like perfectly powered. Yo still doesn't seem to get it though, so Silva gives him a third tip. He says, "I'm not here to test your 500-year-old samurai spirit's power." He knows he's strong. He's here to test the human shamanic mana to determine if he's strong enough to win the Shaman King tournament. So I said this earlier, but this is where Silva says it. He's like, "I'm not here to test Amidamaru's spirit. I know how strong he is. I'm here to test your abilities." And that's why it makes more sense that Honest training Yo so hard, because Yo does have to get stronger. It's not just like you can use it relying on Amidamaru's power to win the Shaman King tournament the whole time. Your body still has to take that physical damage. Your body still has to be able to fight and handle Amidamaru's power. So yes, Yo, you are the one being tested. And if you haven't figured out his tip yet, he's basically telling Yo to stop fusing with Amidamaru into his body. If he wants to go stronger as well as Amidamaru, he must fuse with an object that can amplify his shamanic abilities. Just like the bird is fused with the feather, the buffalo is fused with that horn, the snake is fused with that like rope or whatever, the fang or whatever object that they're connected to. He's basically trying to tell Yo, like, figure it out. Fuse Imidamaro with something that'll make him stronger, or that'll amplify his shamanic abilities. And what weapon does Yo have that Imidamaro favors that would work for a samurai spirit? The Harusume, his Zord. And I love that I had got there when I first read it the first time as a kid. I was like, oh, Yo, fuse Imidamaro with your Zord. That's what he's trying to tell you. I also love Silva's quote on wisdom and knowledge. He says when Yo says he's never heard of mana before, Silva tells him that you don't need to know what it means. If you knew the answer, that would only be knowledge, not wisdom. Wisdom is gained by learning something you don't know. And sometimes when I'm even writing a book or editing my books, I'll use a word that I don't even know, but it works because I'll look it up later. I'm like, wow, I learned some wisdom because it fit perfectly. It makes sense on what I was saying. Wisdom is like genius. It's a flash of insight. Like, you don't have to know it. It's just gonna come to you like that. The ability to learn something from nothing is the ability to understand the ineffable. I think he says ineffable. It is the light that reveals new possibilities in this world. Only one with wisdom can become the Shaman King, can become one with God. To like understand something in a flash of a moment, to just like instinctively know. That's how you become a Shaman King. In other words, if I'm not going to outright give you the answer, figure it out. That's what he's telling Yo. Like, I'm not going to tell you. I've given you 3 tips. Now it's for you to figure it out. Look, learn, watch, Also, remember, Yo is on a time limit. If he can't reach Silva in the remaining time, then he doesn't make it into the Shaman King tournament. Yo is going to be kicked out, and he's not going to get a chance ever again. Because the next Shaman King tournament will be in 500 years. And by then, who knows who'll win the Shaman King tournament. If it's Ren, the world's going to be destroyed. If it's for some reason Tokagero, I mean not Tokagero. If it's for some reason Ryu, it'll be fine because Ryu just wants to find his happy place. But you never know who can win the Shaman King tournament. I also love that Yo was on the right track as he expels Imidamaro from his body by exercising him, and he simply tosses him toward Silva, thinking that throwing Imidamaro's spirit was a form of mana control, and then Imidamaro just flies right through Silva, not even doing anything. Silva doesn't even try to block it. Also, Imidamaro's reaction being caught off guard like this is hilarious. Imidamaro's freaking out. He's like, why did you do that? Why did you think that would work? And then next, Yo tries to exercise him using a chant that Anna taught him to expel a spirit and send it to heaven. So Yo thinks oh, I can send your familiar spirits to heaven, and then I'll win this fight. This is actually the first time I remember seeing Yo ever using this. I don't know if he did it in the anime. I assume he did because the anime followed the manga for a certain period of time. But this still caught me off guard and made me laugh because one of 2 things happened. One, it had no effect on Silva and his Silva spirits or his familiar spirits because the Native American cultures weren't based on written language. So whenever Yo was chanting like that, Silva's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're saying over there. It says something you're saying gibberish. But the second thing that happens was it did work, and Imidamaro was being sent up to heaven, which I found equally hilarious. So I was just having a ball laughing reading these chapters. I was like, Yo's over there saying a chant, thinking he's gonna beat Silva. Silva's like, I don't even know what you're saying. My familiar spirits don't know what you're talking about. And then Imidamaro's just floating up to heaven. Hilarious. Yo is down to 5 minutes at this point, and he's yet to figure it out, and he is thinking that Silva is taunting him at this point, to which Imidamaro is hilarious. Like, I don't blame him. If Silva is taunting you right now, he's got a good reason for it. Like, you almost took me to heaven. You almost made me pass on, and you would have lost me as your friend, your spirit, your ally. Well, Anna would have brought him back from, heaven, but again, Yo would have lost the tournament. But then Yo does realize it. Using his shamanic eyes, he can see the feathers of the bird on Silva's hair, and also the animal spirits coming out of different animal parts of Silva's clothes. So he finally realizes it. Like the turtle shell, that's where turtle's coming from, the jawbone of a snake, the horn of a buffalo, the femur of a coyote. And I forgot the last one. It was a buffalo. We got that. A snake, a turtle. Oh, the feather of the eagle. That's what it was. And it's thanks to this realization that Yo seems to have finally figured out with just 3 minutes left. He finally figured out what he has to do, looking at the items on Silva's body and where the spirits are coming from. And this is where we get one of the coolest panels in all of Shaman King. When Yo fuses Imidamaro with the Harusume. when I read this as a kid for the first time, and the look of it, oh, it's gonna be the cover photo, but the look of it, my God, guys, I'm gonna show it off for a few seconds. It is so cool. And as Yo transforms, Silva goes on to add to his wisdom spirits that add to his talk about wisdom. Spirits can't just be fused with any object to maximize their mana, just as only true shamans can reach their 100% integration when they fully trust each other. In the case of Ren and Yo when they first fought, Yo and Amidamaru when they first fought Ren and Basan. Just like then, when Yo because Ren forced his spirit to submit to him, and that's how he reached 100%. But Yo and Amidamaru overcame him because they trusted each other. That's what made them reach a real 100% integration and surpass him. Silva uses the eagles of the feather to get flight. The turtle shell to defense, of course. The coyote's femur for speed. The snake's jaw uses its long body as a whip. And finally, the buffalo's charging horn to charge at opponents. Again, we've already talked about that, but that's just like talking about like how Silva's explaining, like, this is how you maximize a spirit's ability, is by, by fusing them with the object that will 100% increase their power. And thus we get the perfect familiar for a samurai is his sword. And that's when we get this awesome panel. Now check it out. This is no longer integration. It is called Oversoul. This was so hype, and it still is so hype. I love how it looks. We also learned that normally a human spirit used in Oversoul can't take on a form like this, but Amidamaru, because of he gave up his human ego a long time ago, because he really truly trusts Yo, and plus Amidamaru is all about protecting friends. Amidamaru never had an ego when he was known as a fiend. All Amidamaru ever tried to do was protect his friends, and that allowed his spirit to change shape in a way that would help Yo. So even though Amidamaru is a human spirit, it can change its shape depending on whatever Yo needs. Just in the case of Ren, like I said, Ren makes Basan submit, but that's not really trust. Ren's kind of being like a dick basically, where Yo's using his trust with his friend. Meanwhile, back at the Asakura mansion, Anna is worried and angry at the same time that Yo hasn't come home yet, and she's got dinner prepared. Not by her, of course, but Morty. And Morty's like, why am I the one cooking dinner? And Anna's just like, shut up, where's Yo? Why hasn't Yo home yet? He must be out with another woman. Which I thought was funny. And then Morty comments like, oh, Yo must not be the one to come home because, he's scared of you. He's avoiding coming home because you torture him and you force him to train all these ridiculous ways. You don't love him at all. And this is where Anna replies in the way that we know she would reply. Because, again, we know deep down she would never abandon Yo. She has complete faith in him, and that's what she says. She reiterates that. And she knows that he will become the Shaman King, which is shocking Morty again, which, after the previous arc with Tokagero, I'm not sure why Morty is surprised that Anna said this, because, again, she believes in Yo. She loves Yo. She told him she wants to be with him, whether he becomes the Shaman King or not. So I don't know why he keeps being surprised by her true feelings, but, he does. Back with Silva and Yo is immediately feeling exhausted post using his Oversoul for the first time, and Silva compliments that it's because he's inexperienced and not used to using his mana. Though he does find it impressive that Yo was able to do it, and that he was able to transform a human spirit the way he did. But now that Yo has started using Manga for the first time, he's on the same playing field. And so Silva's like, I can finally get serious. Which shocks Yo. Yo was like, you weren't serious this whole time? And Silva's like, no, I was waiting for you to figure it out so that we could have this fight. And you could still try to land that one hit on me. I'm not going to stand here for you to land this one hit. You got to land that one hit by surpassing me. This guy has been on defensive the whole time. And by now, our time is nearly up because we got a minute left. And all Silva animals begin stacking each other one on top of each other like a totem pole. And even when the first time I read this, I was like, oh shit, what's about to happen? They transform like a VWXYZ dragon cannon. If you're from Yu-Gi-Oh, you know what I'm talking about. They transform like...
When the one in question is the ultimate V to Z dragon catapult cannon.
That in the Silva's ultimate weapon, the Oversoul Totem Pole Cannon. I think I did do something like that with Keto Gourmet in the chapters, but we changed it to him having a staff that could equate the earth or something like that. But yeah, at one point, Keto Gourmet had an ability similar to Silva's ultimate technique. Now, he did tell Yo that not only he needs to land one hit on him to get into the Shaman King tournament, but he never said he would hold back. Silva's like, hey, I told you the truth. You do only need to land one hit on me to get into the Shaman King tournament. But I never told you I was going to stand here and take that attack. You gotta surpass me. But that's not all. Now that Silva is serious, he tells them that they will now battle to determine which one of their mana is stronger. If Yo's mana is stronger than his totem pole cannon, it'll shred through his blast, and his attack will reach Silva and cut him down. But if Yo's attack is weaker than Silva's attack, it's going to blast through him and kill him. Like, Yo's going to die. You put your life on the line when you enter the Shaman King tournament. Like, people can die in this tournament. And that's going to be later confirmed later. Maybe that's why, like, 4Kids thought it was too gruesome, because no one dies in the anime of Shaman King when they lose the tournament. But in the real thing, they usually do die. That's how serious the stakes are when entering the Shaman King tournament, and it separates us from later. Oh, yeah, I've already talked about that. Just like I said, that like Shaman King, Yu-Gi-Oh! And 4Kids, they made the Shadow Realm not represent like, death, hell, purgatory. They made it represent like, just, oh, you're going to the graveyard of Yu-Gi-Oh! Even though that's still basically death. But since Yo had never put his life on the line before, and you can expect anybody in this situation, like, you never put your life on the line, you never had to fight to the death, so far, this would be kind of scary. And I think he meant to say, like, he didn't expect the Shaman King tournament, he'd be constantly facing death's door. But yeah, man, you're competing to become, basically God. Like, he starts to wonder, like, does he even still want to become the Shaman King? Like, if I had to kill people, if I had to put my life on the line at all times, like, is it worth becoming a Shaman King? He's kind of, like, debating about that. Then we flash back over to Morty and Anna. Morty even blames Anna once again wrongly pushing Yo into the tournament, because he's like, how can Yo have an easy? How can somebody who wants a laid back and easy life become the Shaman King? Like, Morty's like, why would you want Yo to enter the Shaman King tournament knowing he's laid back and wants an easy life? Like, that doesn't seem like somebody that works hard and wants to become basically God. And she argues that he didn't know anything about Yo at all. He's like, you've been Morty's friend, you've been Yo's friend for like all of 2 seconds, and you don't even know. You've been Yo's friend for all of 10 minutes, you ain't learned this about Yo yet. To which Morty tries to rebuttal, but she interrupts him. It's like, all she does is push him beyond his limits with intense training. Morty tries to rebuttal, saying, like, all you do is just push him beyond his limits with intense training. But that's why Anna says she loves Yo. Like, Morty's like, all you're doing is pushing him. You're, like, making him do things he doesn't want to do. You're making him force him training. Anna's like, that's why I love him. Yo's not out to save the world. Yo is not out to become a superhero. He doesn't have a superhero complex. He's also not gung-ho about fighting and becoming stronger. That's not Yo. Yes, when Yo gets to a fight, he's willing to fight. He gets excited. He gets stronger. He enjoys a battle. But Yo's not fighting to become stronger. Yo just enjoys a good fight. He's not out for fame and glory, but because, the guys that are out for fame and glory eventually crumble, when things get hard. Like, you're just out for, like, I mean, you can even use solo leveling as an example, like that one guy that became, like, A rank or whatever, the famous guy. And he's like, oh, once I get this, like, A rank, once everybody knows about it, like, I just get to live the good life. I'll never have to fight again in my life. But then, the dude in solo leveling, he worked hard, he got to S rank, and it took away his moment.
Only the man who has it all has even acquired powers that transcend the human condition. Man.
If you're joining a guild, are your acting days over?
Don't you think this is a bit premature? Are you mainly be focusing on your hunter duties?
How gullible can you be? I've already gotten my A rank. My contract with the Reapers is only for 2 years. I'll dabble in hunting long enough for people to forget all about my scandals, and after that, leverage my A rank status to push my acting career back into the spotlight.
You're in the way! Buzz off!
I have business with the association. How could this idiot be so oblivious?
You can't go in through this entrance. Now get out of here!
I seem to recall asking you to refrain from holding a press conference at this hour.
What the hell am I supposed to do now?
I'll be right back. I need to confer with the association.
I'm afraid you won't be able to enter until they're done.
Come on, dude. You gotta know who I am, right? A single word from me and you're out of a job, my guy.
Sorry to say, but I don't recognize you at all. And if you insist on trying to get in, I'll have to remove you from the premises.
She's like, Yo's like that. Like, Yo's not out for fame and glory. He doesn't have a superhero complex. He's not out to fight to get stronger. He's not out to save the world. Yo just wants an easygoing life. All he wants to do is be happy, and that's something Anna can trust and get behind. She don't trust no other guy that has all those other mindsets. She trusts Yo. She goes on to say that's what's great about him. Nothing bothers him at all. He's not a slave to ambition. He never chooses glory over freedom, which sounds a lot like Luffy. Again, that's why I said I like Yo as much as I like Luffy. Luffy is not all about, like, he doesn't want to become king of the pirates to, like, rule over other pirates. Luffy wants everybody to have a party and live free, That's a representation of Joy Boy as well. So I really do love that. It's this attitude that makes Yo think outside the box and capable of great things. Desire and greed create drive. Unlike Yo, other shamans might become corrupted by power. If they win and become the Shaman King tournament, and become the Shaman King, they can go on to do unstoppable things and like go on an ego trip, or like I said, like Ren, basically rule all shamans. Again, Ryu, his goal is kind of noble. Just so everybody have a happy place. But Yo just wants easygoing life. Yo probably, when he becomes the Shaman King, won't change a thing. He'll let the world stay the same way it is. Like, everybody live the way they want to. Like, let their free will decide what they do. She's like, not Yo. And finally, Anna, once again, it reiterates that's why she loves him. That's why he'll become the Shaman King. And Anna, I put in here, is an incredibly well-written character. Anna has stayed consistent with her love for Yo while pushing him past his limits. She has... Yo and Anna are just very great, well-written characters. Hiroyuki Taki, again, if I say your name wrong, you wrote 2 incredibly great characters. And I hope their personalities do not change over the remaining, 28 volumes. I doubt they will, because they're just very well written. I have heard that Shaman King Flowers changes Anna and Yo a little bit, so I don't plan on watching or reading that. But as they are now, I do love them. And then Yo honors that courage that Anna believes in him as though he could feel it through the very sutra itself. I forgot where I learned sutra from. I think it was like in a different anime or manga I was watching. I really can't remember. But anyways, it confuses Silver into thinking that Yo's either gotten cocky or the fear of death has driven him mad. He's like, where did Yo get all this sudden burst of confidence from? Like, because all of a sudden Yo's like, all right, let's do this. My life's on the line. I'm going to die if I don't survive this attack. Okay, let's go. And Yo says it's neither of these things. Like, he's telling Silver, like, I'm not cocky, I'm not afraid of death. If I back down now, it doesn't matter if I'm alive or not. I can never attain my dream of becoming the Shaman King and having that easygoing life. And since Amidamaru is already dead, like, his partner doesn't fear death either. So he's going to give it his all and win because that's the only choice he has. And I really do love that. It still doesn't change Yo's aspirations. Yo's just like, well, if I want to live that easygoing life, if I want to have the rest of my life, laid back, I got to win this tournament. If I die here, then, I'm dead. I get to still live the easy life. And Amidamaru, he's been dead for 500 years. Amidamaru's not scared of death or a second death. Like, he's a spirit. He's a ghost. So Yo's like, okay, let's do this. To which, once again, Silva is impressed with Yo. He's like, okay, this young man's got some powerful resolve. I really truly do believe in him. And so with this, the final clash begins with just seconds left. For the first time ever, Yo is thankful for Anna's intense training because with integration through the spirit is possessing his body, but it's like, again, Yo takes on the physical damage and toll like that. So Anna's been training him. And even though Yo's now using an oversoul, it's still, Yo's mana, his own shamanic aura, he needed that to be like at a strong level, otherwise he would already passed out. So now all that strength comes from Yo, and the spirit is relying on his own shamanic powers. So now it's kind of like in reverse. Like, oversoul is basically like the spirit is relying on the shaman's power, whereas like integration, Yo was relying on Amidamaru's power. So it's kind of like hand in hand, and because Yo and Amidamaru had that ultimate trust in each other, it gives them like, even more power than they had before. And because we know that Amidamaru and Yo, again, had that 100% trust, I knew they would survive. Plus, I'm into the main characters, not going to die in Volume 4. I mean, there are some subversions of expectations. Some characters have died. Luffy at one point died and became Joy Boy. Naruto at one point died and became Jesus. Yusuke died and became a spirit detective. Ichigo died and became the Hollow Ichigo. So I guess, some characters can die, but it's probably like way too early for Yo to die. And I do love how detailed the blast is, that the author Hiroyuki Taki, again, I might be saying the name wrong because it's drawn. I'm going to shut it off for a few seconds. Again, I just love the detail. Again, how much these manga artists pour into these chapters. They're constantly drawing all the time, so I really do like it. But not only did Yo take the blast, but he managed to block it, which surprises even Silva. Not saying Silva here is weak, but just that the protector, that the proctor of the next generation of Shaman Kings, it's not his job to win or, enter the Shaman King tournament himself. But he's like, hey, for a kid that never didn't know anything about mana, for a kid that like, you know, was nearly exhausted and depleted and it had near second stuff, he's holding back against my strongest technique. And then Yo cuts through it and sends another shockwave Budagiri directly back at Silva, shattering his totem pole, and he did in fact reach Silva. Although at first it doesn't look like it. Because at first it appears that there's not a single cut or scratch on Silva, despite all the hard work that Yo has showed and his resolve. He feels like he failed. But he's like, tomorrow, hey, we tried our best. Like, this is before Yo realizes that, like, he landed the hit. And then, you know, he collapses from exhaustion because Yo's tired. And then Silva's there to catch him. Which, I love that trope. You know, when the main character, like, exhausts himself, someone's there to catch him, even though that person was, like, nowhere nearby. I just love that trope. I think it's a great thing. Because, you know, in real life, you know, if you do some kind of super awesome technique, ain't no one there to catch you out of nowhere. You know, not your sensei, your teacher, your best friend. Ain't no one there. But in anime, that shit just happens. I do love it. Anyways, he was tired of his inexperience with his oversoul and pushing past his limits and breaking through them to even cut through Silva, which he actually did. We see Silva's headband get cut in half, and Silva once again has gained more respect for Yo. Silva has constantly been like impressed with Yo over and over again from the moment he met him to like the beginning of his arc, or to the beginning of his like proctor exam to the very end. I do love that Yo and Silva, again, they're going to have this like close bond connection. It is later revealed that they're family. But even before it's revealed that they're family, it's still like just very cool. Yo beat Silva and passed the shamanic entrance exam, and for the tournament, waking up our boy almost immediately. Like, Yo was tired. Once he heard he won, he's like, what? I won. Okay, I'm wide awake. Tell me the rules. What happened? What's my prize? He is then given the iconic Oracle Pager, which at one point, side tangent, I want to cosplay Shaman King. I specifically want to do HoroHoro, and I want to get the spirit orb of HoroHoro. Again, when we get right into this chapter, you'll know who those two characters are. But yeah, HoroHoro, or Trey, is the character I want to cosplay, and I want to get an Oracle Pager. I've been working on that cosplay prop. It tells shamans the time, place, and the name of their opponents that they will face in the upcoming Shaman King matches. So the Oracle Pager is very important. It also is proof and confirmation to other proctors like, hey, this shaman passed the test. You don't have to test them again. They're a part of the Shaman King tournament. And it also will tell you the special rules or confirmation of the results so there's no confusion, or even sometimes give you missions. Now, I know with the anime, I think they got missions, but I don't remember in the manga the Oracle Pager giving them missions. But again, it could be both, you know, because again, the anime went off on a side tangent at some point. They even accumulate points based on what they do in battle or on missions, and that as well helps them move on to other spots in the tournament. So even if you're not winning fights, you can still win missions, and that'll still give you enough points to continue on to the Shaman King tournament. So there's multiple ways to win. It's not just like all-out fights. Sometimes you got to do missions. If you fail a mission, you might lose points, or somebody might get more points than you, you know, stuff like that. We'll learn some stuff later about the Shaman King tournament specifically, but for now, he's like just giving us the rundown, the basic part of it. The one with the most points in the end of the tournament, or the last man standing, will become the Shaman King, and they will fuse with the Great Spirit. And we also learn that the one sending these orders to the Oracle Pagers isn't a proctor themselves, but of course the Great Spirit is God. God is deciding their fights. God is deciding their opponents. God is assigning the time and place and where and the rules and what your missions are. So I really do like that. Like, even though we haven't seen him yet, she is very much involved in the Shaman King tournament. So I do love that. The King of Kings, and I love this panel of Silva and the stars in the background. Very detailed, very beautiful. Like, you know, as he's talking about the Great Spirit. Again, not seen yet, but very much felt all throughout Shaman King. Before Silva leaves, he compliments Yo on his philosophy of life. He basically is like saying like, Yo, like, I like that you just want like an easygoing life, and that's all you want to be when you become the Shaman King. He compliments Yo, like, oh, you're laid back, you never worry about the future. Very, 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 like, again, showing respect for Yo. Along with his familiar spirits, except for the bull or God damn it, what's that thing? The buffalo. They all, who seems to be like afraid or shy to speak, they're all like giving Yo a compliment. I thought it was another great gag, because again, I think that's a reoccurring thing. And in this fight, the buffalo is just kind of like shy. He just like either like ... or he like is struggling to say something. I don't know if that's like a gag that's gonna be played off later in the manga, but I just thought it was kind of funny. Meanwhile, Yo is optimistic about the Shaman King tournament and clearly a good kid. We flash over to the shamanic protector on Death's door. So Yo, we're getting two different perspectives. Yo passed the shamanic tournament. He has a bright future ahead of him. He's excited. He wants to show off his oracle pages to Anna and Morty. He wants to, like, just celebrate and be like, hey, I made it into the tournament. But then we flash over to another proctor who's dead. This proctor's been killed. And of course, the little asshole is Ren. Ren's the one that killed him, who had the same conditions as Yo, but vice versa, he overdid it by killing his proctor in one hit. So all proctors basically in the Shaman King tournament are like, all I do is land one hit on me, and that's it. And Ren was like, oh, damn, I killed you. I didn't know he was that weak, basically. Like, I overdid it. I wasn't even trying, Bard. You got to level up. I love that gag. And then you also see Bren, I think, sitting on a horse at this point. So that was like, okay, Bren's got a whole new goddamn spirit, a horse and stuff like that. Very fucking cool. The following day, Yo returns home to show off his victory to Morty and Anna, but Anna doesn't believe Yo for a second and calls it some kind of cheap trinket, thinking that he was skipping out to avoid his training because how late in the night it was. Yo's like, hey, Anna, I got into the Shaman King tournament, look at my oracle pager, and Anna's like, oh, you expect me to lead that little thing is proof that you won the Shaman King tournament? What are you doing out so late? You're trying to avoid training, weren't you? Again,
Hi. Hey, good morning, Rasputia. Good morning. How are you this morning?
Where the hell are you going?
Oh, nowhere special. I was just gonna go out to, I'm just going over to Raging Waters.
Raging Waters?
Hey, I'm gonna, it's this thing I got roped into, darling. I was at this orphanage when I was raised, and the people from the orphanage are now they're taking other orphans to Raging Waters, so they asked me to come and give back to the community. So I'm trying to, do my part.
Little Miss Skinny bitch gonna be there?
Oh, you mean Miss Lingling?
Now, you know damn well I ain't talking about no Miss Lingling. I'm talking about Miss Thing Thing from that picnic.
I love this gag. In fact, she blames him for even having an affair because she finds a piece of hair on him and it's Silva's hair. And I'm surprised they ain't go white chicks on him. He's like, it's a man.
No, it's not what you think. I can explain. Baby, it's not what you think. He's a man.
You're sick.
She's like, what? If you know, you know, okay? Once again, I can't explain this stuff to you. You just gotta know. You gotta be in the know. Meanwhile, back at the death of the Oracle Proctor, the other members of the Patch have gathered around their fallen brother, whose name was Chrome, but was killed by Tao Ren in his, Proctor exam. And the thing is, they aren't sad. They are depicted they're grieving for him, but despite they did not expect a Shaman King official to be killed so early, they do expect to die at some point. That's crazy. These Shaman King proctors are or Patch tribe members are like, hey, one of us died. It happens. And I'm just like, damn. But I guess you would expect it because you don't know who is going to become the Shaman King. You don't know who's entering this tournament. Our part of the job is just to test these people, make sure they're strong enough, make sure they got the kind of wisdom to proceed, make sure they know about oversouls and shamanic mana. And if we die, we die. I mean, that's just crazy to me. That and they don't get paid for this. Again, that a lot of them are vendors. We heard about from Yo's grandfather that a lot of shamans don't get paid, so they make their money on the side, like a side hustle. So I just thought it was crazy that they just okay, we died. I mean, maybe you'll go on to heaven. I guess they're just nonchalant about it. But heartbreakingly, Silva shows up at the last minute, and we learn that he is one of the 10, or rather 9 of the remaining Shaman King officials. So yeah, there was 10 at this point. And he loved Chrome for his love of singing and dancing, so I guess him and Chrome are very close. I know that there's another proctor that Silva is shown to be close with later in the series, especially when we meet HoroHoro, his proctor specifically, that grows attached to him. But I do like the, Silva's, kind of the heart of the Patch tribe, I guess. Unlike the others who compose themselves, as they know the risk that comes with the Shaman King tournament, they're like, Silva, stop crying, get over yourself. We died, he dead. This is a Shaman King tournament. We gotta, no matter even if somebody evil, wins the Shaman King tournament, they're like, we have to follow him. They are her. They are the Shaman King. We have no choice. Silva then learns that the killer was Yo's first rival, Tao Ren, but we already knew that. But this is like Silva learning it for the first time. But equally something else as important, and this is a big reveal at this point in the story. Tao Ren has the most shamanic mana of all the contestants that have entered the Shaman King tournament. Mind you, there's another character who is the main villain of Shaman King. And Tao Ren, I mean, he could have been hiding his true power at this point. But even then, at this point, Tao Ren being the one with the most shamanic mana in the tournament, I was like, oh shit. Yo's gonna have round 2 with Tao Ren is gonna be something else for sure. And again, I love that. But Silva doesn't care about that. He's like, how can someone who killed an official be able to enter the Shaman King tournament? And this is where you get that reveal that like this is just part of our job. And the other patch members are Stoneface, and they simply reply, he didn't break any rules. He killed a proctor. That's not against the rules. Our only rule was land one hit on us. If we die, we die. If we weren't strong enough, we weren't strong enough. He did what he was asked of, and if we're too weak to withstand his attack, then that's our fault. Besides, the person who fuses with the Great Spirit must possess great mana and prove themselves worthy of becoming the Shaman King. So again, they're not worried if they die. They're not worried if that person's evil. If that person's strong enough to become the Shaman King, then that's who they're going to follow. I mean, Silva obviously sounds like he ain't going to go for that kind of shit, but those are the rules, you know? Just like, I want to say, if you were a kid with fairy godparents and you made evil wishes or bad wishes, them fairy godparents will probably still grant those wishes. I mean, I don't know. I know there's something more specific I'm trying to think of. I know, like, at one point, Timmy lost his fairy godparents because they had to go to different kids, something like that. But there's other examples, like, you know, like, if those are rules and they didn't break any rules, we gotta follow them, even if they're good or evil. We don't cast judgment. Because all Shaman...
So, you finally made it. About time. I've been waiting for you. We've always been rivals, haven't we? You've always pushed me, as I've always pushed you.
Riku!
But it all ends here. There can't be two Keyblade Masters.
What are you talking about?
Let the Keyblade choose. Its true master! Maleficent was right. You don't have what it takes to save Kairi. It's up to me. Only the Keyblade Master can open the secret door and change the world.
But that's impossible. How did this happen? I'm the one who fought my way here with the Keyblade.
You were just the delivery boy. Sorry, your part's over now. Here, go play hero with this.
Goofy, let's go. We have to remember our mission.
Oh, well, I know the king told us to follow the key and all, but... Ooh.
That pass as officials tests are allowed to enter. It's like I mentioned in here, it's like the Dread Zone tournament in that way. If you read Shaman vs. Shinry 2, enter the Dread Zone tournament, there's a lot of characters that die before they ever get to the tournament. And that's just how it is. And I didn't base it off of this, but I do like that I made that comparison in here. In fact, they say a death among their members is a sign of a powerful king and should be celebrated. So they're like, even though Chrome died, hey, we happy. Chrome was killed by the strongest kid with the most mana in the Shaman King tournament. So our Shaman King entrance exam. So that means, hey, we might have a king on our hands. So they're willing to celebrate. And they're like, Silva, you might have to come drink with us, come out and party with us. Yeah, your friend dead. He our friend too. But hey, bitch, we about to have a Shaman King on our hands. And it ain't the evil version. It ain't the evil person that we thought it would be. They go on to say this is a hard truth that must be accepted by all members of the Shaman King tournament. And if you can't be willing or impartial to this something like this, you can't be in the Shaman King tournament. You cannot be a proctor if you're getting emotional because your friend died or your family died. Like, you have to separate your feelings and participate in this tournament. And I guess it would be the same way in the Chunin exams, like, you know, because in the Chunin exams in Naruto, a lot of them Genins did die in the forest of death. They,
しかもそれはガーラの意志とは関わりなくなぜかオートで行われる。つまりガーラの前では全ての攻撃が無に帰する。砂漠球。
砂漠早々お願いだ見逃して
It really did. And Orochimaru was out there too? Oh yeah, bitch. A lot of people gonna die, especially facing Gaara. So even in Kakashi, if Gaara had killed all of the Rookie 9, you know, Kakashi, Guy, Karina, they can't get mad at Gaara. Like, he ain't break the rules. You said force of death, just don't die. Okay, well, if Gaara killed everybody in there, he ain't break no rules. So, but now it's different when Neji had beat Hinata and the fight was over. That's different. And when Rock Lee had lost the fight and Gaara had won and Guy had intervened, that's different. But if they had died while properly in the middle of the fight, yeah, like I said, the Tenseis can't do nothing about it. And again, I feel for Silver and his frustrations because in that case, he is right to feel sad that his friend died and not want Rin to become the Shaman King. But at the same time, like, yeah, based on these rules, Rin did nothing wrong. Silva then asks, how could the Great Spirit or God sit back and allow this to happen? And that's when a chief of the Patch tribe comes in. He goes on to say that the Great Spirit cannot see the future. This I kind of disagree with, and I'm going to go into my thoughts in a second. But in the context of the story, I will accept it. I'd rather him say that sometimes he sits back and watches, and he lets things play out instead. That's what I tell my friend all the time. I'm like, when my friend says, like, why God me, or why me God? Or anybody just blames whatever bad luck happens stuff on themselves, they blame God. I'm like, sometimes God sits back and watches and waits to see what you do and sees how you handle it. He will still help you. He will still, you know, you praise him, like truly pray toward him and give him your heart and your faith and believe in his son, Jesus Christ. But he will sit back and watch, because sometimes when things are going good, you don't praise him. You don't give him thanks. But when things are going bad, you want to blame him for everything. So, you know, you got to balance. You got to realize, like, a lot of this is free will. A lot of this is free choice. Now, the other thing I disagree with is that he said God can't see the future. I think God is omnipotent. He can see, he knows all, sees all, he knows what you're going to do, he knows what you're not going to do. Now, it is true that in the future, I could either pick up the sheet of paper or I could put it down. And there is a future where I didn't pick up that paper, but I gave that example. You know, I made the future where that happened. I made the future where, you know, this video comes out the day it comes out instead of the next day. But even though the future has infinite possibilities, I believe that, like, he still knows what possibility or paths are going to take. You know, I can see that. But, like, I do get what in the context of the story, what he's saying. And again, I think this is something I had mentioned earlier where, like, it's like, I can't see the future, so why bother? So why worry about it tomorrow? If a strong enemy comes, we'll deal with it when it comes to it. But, like, it hasn't happened yet, so why worry about it? So I do like that already had that same kind of mindset as they're saying God has. Like, God's not worried about the future because it hasn't happened yet. But I do, like I said, I think, like, he is omnipotent, but I do in the context of the story, understand what they're saying. Now, the next statement about the future being uncertain, you don't know someone's actions or inactions or choices, how they will shape the future, and neither does the person about to make the decision know until they do it. That's kind of what I was explaining here. This is just like a simple example. Again, picking up this paper, but like, I don't know what this future, if I go talk to this guy that I like, if he'll like me back, if he'll shun me, or if he will just want to say we want to be friends. Or I don't know if like I'll be outed to the whole team. Like, you know, we don't know our actions until they happen. We don't know if like, hey, if I go smack this person because they made me mad, I don't know what the actions of that's going to be. You know, I haven't done it yet, but if I do it, you know, what will happen? Or, you know, if you go do or steal something from a grocery store, you know, you're thinking about it until you pick it up and put it in your pocket and walk out the door. Our future is uncertain, but you know what'll happen if you do go out that door with that candy. You know, you can think about what'll happen, but you don't know what'll happen. And so, thus, the future is unpredictable. Is an unpredictable chain of events waiting to happen, which is very true. Also, ironically, I'm writing the book of memories right now, or editing that book, and has to do with the future and possibilities, and infinite possibilities, and things like that. So, very ironic that I'd be talking about this at the same time. But anyways, that's why the Shaman King tournament is held, to decide the uncertain future of the world every 500 years, just as Yo Asakura surprised Silva. You know, he's like, hey, you know, Yo Asakura surprised you. A boy with no mana who knew nothing about, or a boy who knew nothing about mana, beat you, Silva, in the last second. He destroyed your totem pole. He destroyed your spirit totems. You know, who's to say, who knows what happened? Only the Great Spirit does. And also, and the second surprise Silva learns is that Yo Asakura even defeated Tao Ren once before the Shaman King tournament even started. So, again, Silva had no idea who Yo Asakura was. He had just met him for the first time. But learning that Yo Asakura had beat Tao Ren, who has the most shamanic mana in the whole Shaman King tournament, he's like, wow, this Yo kid is actually strong. Like, I don't know him that well, you know, more than 5 seconds. But the fact that he defeated Tao Ren, who defeated my best friend, Chrome, you know, who loved to sing and dance, this kid might actually have the possibility to still stop somebody evil from winning the Shaman King tournament. And just as they're speaking about Yo's fight has already been decided by God, but it is yet to be revealed. It's a tease. They're like, oh, hey, the first fight has been decided. Yo Asakura's opponent is, and we clip away back to Yo and Anna. We go back to Yo and Anna, who found a strand of Silva's hair on Yo, confirming her suspicions, to which Yo freaks out and says it must have been when he touched Silva. Meaning in combat, but Anna means to think sexually. She's like, you touched? Y'all are already at that level? You already at that base? Like, you didn't touch me, Yo. And again, great fucking humor. Like, Anna knows Yo ain't a cheater, and she used the spirits to find out if she wanted to. But I just like that she's teasing him like this. Morty and Mitamaru go back and forth trying to figure out how to prove Yo's innocence, when Morty suggests that Yo show her his oversoul. And I was like, oh, this is a great idea. If Yo shows Anna his oversoul, you know, that'll be obvious proof that, like, you know, he ain't cheating on her and he did win this Oracle Bell to enter the tournament. And it would have worked, but Yo is out of mana. And instead of Mitamaru fusing with this door, instead he is hilariously hovering over the top of it, and Anna snaps. And like, what kind of idiotic stance is that? I mean, again, just great humor. And it makes Anna believe that Yo is even more of a terrible liar and that he's cheating. But again, and I know I read this a long time ago, and I watched the anime recently, but it's still just so funny just to see this all unfold, like how it's happening. Really fucking loved it. Just great gags by Hirio Takie. I mean, just so fucking funny. Just great. But before Anna can send Yo to the other side, because you know she wanted to pull out them bees and send his ass straight to hell for cheating, the pager starts to go off in the nick of time, alerting Yo of who his next opponent is. Yo is hesitant at first to pick it up, but once again, Anna assumes that he's hiding a woman. So while Yo is hesitant to show her this, I was like, that's curious. I'm like, Yo, she's thinking you cheating on her. Your Oracle pager is going off telling you that you got your first fight in the tournament. Just show it to her, and you know, she'll believe you. But instead, it's Morty who picks it up. And that's when we get a look at my favorite character in all of Shaman King, and the one I want to cosplay one day, HoroHoro, and his spirit, KoroKoro. But surprisingly, we're only halfway through. I actually thought at this point that this would be the end of the manga, because I felt like the whole interaction will be in the volume 5. But I was only halfway through the manga, so... but where it ends is great, though. I will say that. But I did think like that was going to be the stopping point when I had first read it. The following day, Morty breaks down the basic rules of the Shaman King tournament to Yo, that there are 3 rounds in the preliminaries, and you have to win 2 of the 3 rounds to move on. So there's preliminaries, then there's probably like, the main tournament, and then the final round, and then, you go on to win the Shaman King tournament. From what we can assume. If you lose 2, you forfeit the Oracle Pager, and you're kicked out of the tournament. So two losses, you're out. It also counts as a victory if you win in the Oversoul state. So maybe if you're both low on mana, but you maintain the Oversoul state, you automatically win. That is later confirmed. Like, you have to activate your Oversoul while the battle's happening. And the first person to run out their Oversoul, the first person to run out of mana, and the Oversoul breaks, they lose. But vice versa. Oh, yeah, I've already talked about this. However, Yo isn't paying attention to any of this, as he's too busy thinking about how weird HoroHoro's name sounds, which is a very strange name. Again, in the English version or 4K version, I think it's called Trey. That is both of his names, but I prefer HoroHoro. I just like that name. I like saying it too. However, Morty then asks Yo, why doesn't he instead focus on his Oversoul training, as his first preliminary fight against HoroHoro is in 2 weeks. And Anna also shows up, as she's currently out shopping, and we later learn this is Yo's iconic outfit. The one that Yo is going to be seen here, this is his most iconic outfit that Yo is known for. But she beats the boy Tom, and then she secludes herself into her room to work on this. So we don't get to see Yo's uniform just yet. Yo didn't even know what Anna's working on. She just kind of secluded herself away. And then, Yo ain't doing his Oversoul training because Yo's like, why worry about that? It's in 2 weeks from now. I'm not worried about any of that. Meanwhile, Morty focuses on learning more about HoroHoro, and he learns that he's from the Inu tribe, or the people of the gods, as they are native settlers of Japan. Just like how, in North America we have Native Americans, they have, their native settlers in Japan are called the Inu tribe. So I'm curious if that's, a real thing or not. Knowing that this author's from Japan, I can see him, using real-world things like that. So I think that's pretty cool. The Inu tribe believes that all things have a god, like plants, objects, animals, and people. I have heard something like that before, gods have their own god, animals have their own gods, plants, because plants are living things, but objects was kind of new for me. I wasn't expecting that one. Morty goes on to say that they have a profound understanding of the spirit world because of this connection, because they believe that all things have a god, or that there's many gods, which I do have a friend that believes in many gods, and I know that India has multiple gods too. But because because the Inu tribe believes that all things have a god, they have the most connection to the spirit world. And because of this, Yo should be cautious because his opponent can be very powerful. That's what Morty's warning him of. But per usual, again, Yo ain't listening. He isn't worried about his opponent. He's like, well, there's a will, there's a way. Just like I told him tomorrow before we went into the fight with Silva, if there's a powerful opponent out there, we'll overcome it just like we've done in the past, just like we did with Tao Jun, just like we did with Tao Ren, and all these other spirits in the past. We'll find a way. Tomorrow I believe in you, you believe in me. That's all we need. That's all Yo's thinking. Again, Yo is very laid back, very easy like that. Morty, however, is skeptical, but this is where we learn that this is what we learned through Amidamaru, how their Oversoul works. The reason why Amidamaru is able to shape his soul the way Yo needs him to is because he has complete faith in Yo. And Yo has complete confidence in himself, which is why he never worries. So Amidamaru is like, hey, Morty, don't worry about it. I have complete faith in Yo. Yo has complete faith in himself. And as long as we have that, again, Amidamaru is starting to develop some of that Yo's personality, like his best friend. He is his partner after all. And because Yo didn't worry about training or anything like that, in the blink of an eye, 2 weeks passes, and the day of his first fight has come. And their battle takes place in the center of a city, which again, just like when Tao, Ren, and Yo were fighting in the streets with a steel pipe and his Japanese blade, I'm like, where are the people in the streets? They ain't calling the police on y'all. Hey, there's 2 kids fighting to the death in the middle of the street. Ain't nobody seeing this? It ain't like they blocked it off. This ain't like Demon Slayer, where the Demon Slayer corps have blocked out the city, telling people oh, there's construction going on over here. Go the other way. Don't worry about it. Ignore everything you hear. Ain't nothing like that going on. Lordy. We then learn from Anna that though the place they are having their first battle changed to a city, it was once a jail for torture and imprisonment. I'm not sure what relevance that has to the story at this point. Maybe something in volume 5, but there's nothing in here aside from the ghost usually showing up. And Morty's like, how do you know that, Anna? And she's like, well, duh, the spirits told me. So, like, Morty's like, how do you know that this place used to be a jail cell and used for torture and imprisonment? I mean, maybe that's why it's empty. Maybe he threw that in here because he knew, like, people would stay away from that. It's because of all the torture and the history of this place. And that's when Anna reveals Yo's signature outfit, which is the one he wore as a kid, but Anna redesigned it for his battle suit as an adult. To which Morty and Yo first insulted before learning that it like pisses Anna off because she spent all day on it. And then they start apologizing. They're like, "Oh, I love it. It looks perfect, you know," because they know Anna will give him her signature punch if they make fun of it. Of course, though, Anna ain't buying it. They already gave her real first impressions when she first pulled it out. But that's when HoroHoro makes this awesome appearance, standing on his snowboard on the top of the building. And I already knew it was going to happen. He's going to ride down that bitch and make some kind of cool entrance like Ghost Rider. Oh, HoroHoro is so cool. But before leaping off, mind you, with this killer insane look in his eyes, the way this manga portrays some of these characters, like, make them look evil, even though HoroHoro, you learn he's a very sweetheart later. I thought it was really intense and very cool. But anyways, HoroHoro didn't just jump straight down. He's riding a snowboard down that is creating snow across the side of the building to slow down his friction. This is HoroHoro's oversoul. He fuses his spirit into his snowboard. We're gonna see that officially later, but right now, like, this is just how Minamaru fights. He fights with a snowboard. So that already tells you he's gonna be an ice type shaman. His spirit's name, and this adorable little leaf spirit's name, is HoroHoro. Explained. So also originally Keto Gourmet, he also used to have a spell book, and he'd look in his spell book and he'd read it, and like there used to be like this little spirit that would show up beside Keto. But again, we got rid of Keto having a spell book and stuff like that. We just gave Keto we gave Keto a nature alchemist ability instead of giving him like a spell book, like Zatch Bell kind of. That's kind of what Keto was given with Zatch Bell, which is also another great manga I finished. But one day we'll talk about that. But yeah, I mean, again, everything has been done before. He's just reinventing the wheel. But yeah, Shaman King helped me inspire a lot of things in my stories. However, HoroHoro's first appearance in the sight of seeing Yo's outfit, he makes fun of it, which pisses Anna off, and earns him a knuckle sandwich. He's like, who dressed you up this morning? Your mom? And then Anna like punches HoroHoro and sends him flying. And then the gag is continued in the next chapter as Anna stands with boxing gloves, declared the winner as HoroHoro sent flying behind her. And, you know, Morty's like, yeah! And I think Yo's cheering on the side. Again, I just love the gags in this story. HoroHoro quickly realizes though that Anna isn't his opponent. Instead, it's Yo Asakura. So he asks, who is she? And she replies, I'm the wife of the future Shaman King. Don't you know that? Like, hello. And then to which HoroHoro freaks out, thinking that she's going to be his wife once he wins the tournament. He's like, whoa, I ain't even met you before. We ain't even gone on a date yet. You're going to be my wife? And then she calls him an idiot and tells him, like, no, she means yo. Again, just great gags. And maybe I'm childish, but I was loving all them gags. She was like, HoroHoro was like, wait, we're going to get married? I didn't even know you. I didn't know how to, I know once I win the Shaman King tournament, I fuse a god, but I didn't know I already had a wife set up for me. HoroHoro then falls to his knees in hilarious defeat, as he thinks he and Yo are the same age, but Yo's already mature enough to have a wife, which is the same thing Ryu thought. Remember that when Yo and Anna were living together, and Ryu was like, like blasphemy or something like that. He's like, how can you do that? Y'all are so young. And even though HoroHoro was like, I never had a girlfriend, which again, hilarious. HoroHoro, this whole manga, this whole volume has been filled with gags and laughter. We didn't see his spirit HoroHoro trying to cheer him up, and we didn't learn, like himself in the Minamaru, HoroHoro sees his spirit as his best friend. So Yo and HoroHoro are exactly alike, and Yo starts to like draw on that as well. We learned that HoroHoro is a sacred nature. I need to get some water. I'm talking a lot. It's been like 2 hours, y'all. HoroHoro is a sacred nature spirit, and that HoroHoro's clan believes in humanity, that humanity should learn to live in kind with nature and live peacefully. So again, HoroHoro is part of the Inu tribe, and they believe like all things have a god, and they want to live in peace and harmony with nature. And they're like, you know, again, we learned early in the manga that like humans keep building all this infrastructure getting rid of forests and lakes and trees, and we're constantly building new stuff, and it's getting rid of the natural beauty of the land in America, where, like, you know, you go overseas, you see so much natural beauty and stuff like that. And sometimes in California you see a lot of natural beauty, in North Dakota and South Dakota too. But I do love that like is another gag that's being rebought in, or reoccurring theme in the story. His second spirit is one that lives under leaves, and they're known as the Kuru clan. Hilariously, HoroHoro asks Yo to show him his partner as well, but he first mistakes that Morty is his spirit because of his height. And HoroHoro is like starts having a crush on him because before that, because of Morty's height, he assumes that like Yo also has a HoroHoro has a Kuru spirit. He's like, "Whoa, you have a Kuru spirit too?" And Morty's like, "No, I'm a human. How dare you?" And Yo starts laughing, and then HoroHoro, because he's so short, she starts like forming hearts in the eyes, and then the gag just continues with like Yo like laughing at him, and Morty like, "What?" Again, I love it. Continuing this gag, it infuriates HoroHoro because he visions like Morty is distracting HoroHoro and throwing her off her game, which means he's like, "You're already trying to get me to lose. First, you brought your wife down here, and y'all are way too mature to have a wife, or you're same age as me. I never had a girlfriend. You have a mature wife. Secondly, your best friend or that human guy looks like a Kuru spirit, and now my HoroHoro's in love with him." She's like, "Oh, like, you throw me off my game before the game even started." Again, love HoroHoro. And then coolly, we get to see HoroHoro's medium. Just like Yo's medium is the Harasume, his Midamari's blade. Again, we already know that HoroHoro's medium is going to be his snowboard, because obviously that's what it's going to be. And if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm probably repeating myself, HoroHoro is an ice spirit type shaman who can manipulate ice and snow. He also inspired the character Sos in the Big Five. Oh yeah, so another character HoroHoro inspired in Shimmy the Sword of Light, the Big Five, made up of Sos, Lagarto, Mariah, Jin, and Riku. Sos was inspired by HoroHoro and his abilities and stuff like that. But again, if you read the Sword of Light, you already know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, check out my link below. Check out my books. Again, support me. I'm an author. And then we get to look at his Oversoul, which at first you wouldn't think is impressive until you see its power. He fuses HoroHoro with his board, and at first it's like, oh, the board has eyes and stuff like that, and you can obviously tell like it's possessed, but you wouldn't think it'd be strong until you see what HoroHoro can do. I also love the detail in all of HoroHoro's attacks, as like he lifts up his snowboard and like ice shard blast comes out of his snowboard. HoroHoro specifically freezes the moisture in the air, moisture in the atmosphere, and then uses that for attacks. But thanks to that surprise attack, Yo was able to show off a really new move and to prove to Anna that he has the power of Oversoul. But unbeknownst to Yo, HoroHoro is smarter than he looks. He didn't just force Yo to activate his Oversoul before the buzzer started, or he would have won this match by default. So what happened was the match has not started yet. But HoroHoro knows, like, once the match starts, Yo has to have his Oversoul active, because the person whose Oversoul goes out first, they lose the match by default. So HoroHoro attacked Yo. Maybe HoroHoro was playing a game the whole time, but he was attacking Yo, so he would activate his Oversoul. He's like, "Hey, good, now you're ready." And then Yo realizes the timer. He's like, "Oh, this guy, he's not as dumb as he looks. He's just playing around." So the reason HoroHoro helped Yo form his Oversoul before the fight started, because like all shamans that want to become the Shaman King, HoroHoro wants to become the Shaman King too, but he wants to win it fair and square. He doesn't want it to be handed to it. He doesn't want it to be given to him. He wants to win it fair and square, to know that he did this for his dream. However, Yo can't focus on the fight at first because he really wants to know what, ironically, HoroHoro's dream is. So he focuses on invasion. Like, HoroHoro is like talking about his dream while they're fighting. He's like, "I have to win this so that I can achieve my dream." And Yo's like, "Hey, what's your dream?" And then HoroHoro just starts attacking him. So Yo's just dodging, all the while thinking about what HoroHoro's dream is. And he says that constantly in this fight. HoroHoro goes on to show off moves that I was inspired to use in my series, like ice sabers. A nice detail, again, on these pages. I'm going to show them off for a few seconds because, again, it's really great and detailed. Love how the icicles look. Again, the way this author draws, the way all these manga artists draw are just incredibly insane. For a while, HoroHoro is just pressing Yo, who can't even so much as counter or get an attack in of his own. But again, we learn why in a second. And that's when Yo's like, "Ding, this is Yo apparently is doing this because Anna," and even Anna calls it out. Anna catches that Yo's doing this, and she's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And Yo's like, "I can't attack him. I can't defeat him until I know what his dream is. And HoroHoro is like taken back by this. He's like, what do you mean? You can't attack me because you want to know what my dream is. And at one point, Yo gets locked into the air as HoroHoro freezes the ground, and then it's pierced again by his icicle barrage, but Amidomaru transforms himself into a shield. So this is the first time we see Amidomaru, or second time, I guess, see Amidomaru be able to change himself in Oversoul. As Amidomaru said, I can adapt to whatever Yo needs. So what happened is Yo is too busy worried about what HoroHoro's dream is. HoroHoro hasn't told him yet. But at the same time, like, HoroHoro's not stopped attacking. Like I said, HoroHoro wants to win fair and square. So as long as he beats Yo, or either beats Yo in combat, or Yo runs out of mana first, he's like, I won fair and square. But Yo is like, hey, I want to know what your dream is, so stop it. I can't fight you back till you tell me what that is. And this is where Yo tells HoroHoro he refuses to fight him before learning what his dream is. And that's when we learn HoroHoro's dream. It's to cultivate a boundless patch of wild grassland. Now, at first, I was confused by this too, and Yo and Morty burst out in laughter. I think Morty calls it stupid. But just as you think Yo's dream to have an easy life, which is stupid, or Ryu's dream to find his true happy place is stupid, each character has more to it. Ryu wants to find his happy place, not just for himself, but for everybody. He wants a place where he can go to without worrying about, like, you know, not having a home to go back to for him and his gang. You know, Yo wants to have an easy life because, like, that's what he wants. He wants to be laid back. He wants to listen to his music all day. And HoroHoro's dream isn't just to create an endless grassland for no reason. It's specifically because HoroHoro's Kuru tribe is an endangered species due to their habits slowly dying. Again, you have to remember that these guys live under leaves, and the expansion of humans, you know, again, tearing down the rainforest, tearing down trees, building more roadways, building more roads, building more houses. Like, we're taking up more than we need, you know? And so, with all that construction, nature is slowly dying. Again, it's not like it is overseas. It's not like it is in California. It's not like it is in North Dakota, South Dakota. There's a lot of infrastructure everywhere else, and we're losing all that natural grassland, all those natural trees that give us oxygen and things like that. So, pollution, you know. So HoroHoro had once learned that it would take multiple centuries for the world to recultivate nature, but if he becomes Shaman King, he'll be able to do this no problem. Basically, HoroHoro's like, I want to solve global warming. Global warming is a thing, and HoroHoro is like, it's killing nature, and humans don't realize it because humans, you know, they're getting what they need. You know, obviously we want the stuff, we need this stuff, we need houses, we need this, we need that, but you're killing nature for the animals, the plants, and again, they believe in all gods, so HoroHoro is like, I want to restore that life to everybody else. Yo is so touched by HoroHoro's dream that he almost offers to forfeit and let him win. He's like, HoroHoro, your dream's too noble. I have to let you win. And again, HoroHoro doesn't want to be handed the win. He wants to win it by his own merit. But Anna also ain't having that, because Anna's like, hey, my dream's to become the wife of the Shaman King. And she immediately gives Yo one of her famous punches. She's like, you better win this fight, Yo. Don't just give up. Now, if you die or you lose, that's fine. I'll accept that. But don't you just give up. Don't you dare just hand the win to somebody. But Yo, despite being reminded of his own dream by Anna, is like, well, I can't decide which dream is bigger. You know, my dream is just to live a laid-back life, while HoroHoro's dream is more noble than mine. So Yo's like, there's only one other thing to do. Yo decides that once he becomes a Shaman King, he will make HoroHoro's dream come true as well. And that's where we end the volume. Knowing Yo's personality, and again, this is somebody that didn't finish the Shaman King manga, but I did finish the Shaman King anime, and the Shaman King anime does not end in a great place, I think. It has a good ending, but it's not a great ending. What I think will happen is, Yo's going to take on Ryu's dream to find a happy place for everybody. He's going to take on HoroHoro's dream to create an endless grassland. He's going to have his own dream to live an easygoing life. I think Yo is going to be kind of Shaman King that makes everybody happy, grants everybody's wish for 500 years. I can see Yo doing that for sure. But tell me what you guys thought about this manga volume. What you thought about these chapters. I know this was probably a long video. I know I had to keep taking breaks again. I was getting patch mail. These manga volume chapters, or these manga volume videos, really do take a lot out of me. It's a lot of talking. Even more than my game reviews, I break them up. I break them down into sections. But this is like the most I've talked consistently. But anyways, I'm loving Shaman King. I cannot wait to get into volume 5. There's some other things going on in life that has kind of slowed me down and kind of like hindering me right now. But, you know, I'm going to try to get these videos out as much as possible and as soon as possible. Again, I do this all for fun. But you can support me by buying my books on Amazon using the link tree below in the comment section below. But don't feel obligated. You can't buy one. Don't worry about it. But I just hope you guys are enjoying this. I really am enjoying reading Shaman King all over again. I cannot wait to find out how the real ending was. Then I can't wait to jump into Shaman King. Again, I'm watching Pokemon, so I'll probably be doing that for a while before jumping into another manga. But I'm having a great time. Anyways, that's all for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Hey guys, this video was sponsored by me, the author of the Shinry series, the Chronicles of Wayne, and Monsterverse. So I figured I'd do this outro a little bit different by showing you guys what you guys will be checking out. So, the Shinry series starts with Book 1, Shobu Samurai Project Aryoku. 10 years after the death of his parents, Shobu Samurai returns home seeking vengeance, but instead faces a choice to save his home from shadow creatures, blood beasts, and an organization once thought dead. Shinry's Shobu Samurai starts at $9.99. And if you love anime, manga, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, Yu Yu Hakusho, Fairy Tail, Shaman King, Rave Master, Zatch Bell, anything like that, the Shinry series is definitely the series for you. You'll definitely want to check it out. The Sword of Light is probably the thickest one so far. And then these books are 2. This is Enter the Dread Zone Tournament. And the series original ending, Arado, the Legendary Conjuring Master. So, and I'll just show you guys some of the covers. Really proud of all of these. But I hope you guys check it out. If you don't like that, I also have the current published books for the Chronicles of Wayne, Love Be Damned, Cotton Candy, Full Moons, Fabled Lovers, A Cursed Virgin's Bite. If You Go Where Monsters Dance, Red Will Rain Over Your House. Love Be Damned. Now, the Chronicles of Wayne is about a geeky guy, or a nerdy guy in high school. His senior year, he has a crush on the hottest guy in school, because of course he does. He's only got one best friend, and her name is Barb. Well, the hottest guy in school turns out to be a werewolf. And to make the story more interesting, he bites Wayne and turns Wayne into the first ever wolfman in the last 10 years. And because of that, it was also a sacred law that wolfmen should never be created. I don't want to get into too much of the Chronicles of Wayne without spoiling it, but I can tell you it's very short. This one sells for $6.99, and Love Be Caged right after it. The ending of this trilogy, Love Be Liberated, comes out in October. So I'm going to definitely do a more full in-depth review of this one. But yeah, it's an LGBT fantasy fiction story about werewolves, vampires, white witches, a dark warlock, and, well, many, many more surprises to come. So, if you guys like to read, I definitely recommend. These are all the books so far in the Shinry series, except for Shinry's Beginning. I do have that one, but it's just not here with me. But yeah, I appreciate a like, support, or just a review on Amazon. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day.